teachers are squeezed both ways. They're squeezed by the parents because they want the best for their children and they want a diagnosis. And they're squeezed by the lack of resources or money through their councils and the government. They're squashed in between, and they have to find the best way around it. And as a result, the people who shout loudest often get that result. But it is extremely difficult, particularly in the UK. There are so many children who need to be properly diagnosed. And schools often will say, but we're a dyslexia-friendly school, we're dealing with it. And they might give them some small thing like a coloured overlay or a reading ruler or a reading pen. And that's their idea of helping and being a dyslexia-friendly school. It's not enough, not nearly enough. They need to be taught properly. And so it's very hard for the teachers. I sympathise with them because they're put in a difficult position. But nevertheless, they need to be doing something about it for all children, because there are one in 5 of their children in that classroom. So about out of say 30, what's 1 in 5 out of 30? Well, let's say 20. So a quarter of those children are not getting the support they need. And so they do need to learn to identify and put them forward for diagnoses. However, when they do put them forward, the head will often say, I can't do it. I just don't have the funding to do it. Or I can't get an educational psychologist here because the people that they're working with are just too many. And so they can't call even an educational psychologist in. So it does cause a lot of angst for parents. And it is true that the one who keeps on and on and on, no matter how you feel, how embarrassed you feel, how stupid you feel going in, how many times you're told you're an over-anxious mother, you need to do it. It's the only way you'll get that result.
I would say that's true from a global perspective as well, is that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So the parent that is the most active, going in the most, writing the letters, looking up the laws, looking up what dyslexia means, and those are the ones that tend to get the services for their child. It's often a very draining, emotionally draining, and sometimes financially draining battle. We hear over and over again of parents who can't afford to paying up to $50,000 US in fees, legal fees, and all, just to get services for their children. Where we feel particularly drawn to support the children that don't have that opportunity, because many dyslexic children, they may have maybe come from a single parent home. Their mother or father cannot go into the school every week and demand services. They just don't have the time, and they may not have the money to hire lawyers and take the school district to court to try to get what they want for their children. So we feel particularly drawn to try to support those children, because it shouldn't be this way. There 10 to 20% of children in any classroom, anywhere, need services. Another point I want to make is it is true that there's a lack of funding or misplaced funding all over the world. There's probably funding there, it's just not getting used on dyslexic children. But a teacher can provide accommodations in his or her classroom for free. It costs them nothing to tell the child they don't have to copy off the board. I will give you the notes. It costs them nothing to tell the child they don't have to read aloud in class, and to stop that practice of humiliation of making children read aloud in class. It costs them nothing to not have peer grading. That means that other children in the class are not grading each other's papers and it's all being seen, or calling out their scores. Those things cost zero. And so when
It's so humiliating.
it's
for that
humiliating
child.
and it's harming children. And so I understand that there's a lack of funding, but let's start with the things that are free.